Thank you for giving me an opportunity to be part of you this morning. Your team building PNG for 50 years, as you have built PNG the last 50 years. The next 50 is coming up, and it is in our shared business and interest to build this country together, whether you are a citizen or a citizen business or a resident corporate citizen. I want to say all of us are in this together, and we just have to pull through, work together side by side and construct a better place, a growing economy and a prosperous PNG, so that profit for your businesses and of course a good life dividend for the citizen of this country is yield. And so I want to say the theme is appropriate in our 50th anniversary year, and I do acknowledge all of your presence here. I noted that my ministers are not in the room, but nonetheless, I'm the minister of all ministers, so I encapsulate the entire whole of government here. Sometimes, lifting a lot of heavy weights, but it comes with the job, and I take all the blames and lesser credit, but nonetheless, it's part of my job. And I say on behalf of government, we do acknowledge all of you and all other government agencies who are here. Thank you for your presence to give respect to the sector that contributes money to pay our salaries every week and to ensure our development aspirations is met. This week is the climax of the National Month of Reflection and Celebration, the PNG Resources Month, recognizing 50 years of our independence and the foundational role the resource sector has played in our nation building. I am advised that more than 16,000, mostly young people, have attended this resource golden exhibition. And today, as we converge in this flagship summit, I want to ask you and ask myself, what kind of future are we contributing to construct of PNG the next 50 years? Today, we enjoy the luxury of life in a free market economy and a robust democracy, because those who came before us were able to have the foresight, vision, determination, and created something that you and me enjoy today. Needless to remind you, but you can only look or walk across in Melanesia, and some part of Melanesia have lost their land rights. I want to say, Papua New Guineans here, don't take your sovereignty for granted. It was a construct of the most important generation before us. They bettered something out of abstract into reality, out of concept into being conceived, and bettered the nationhood we have today. And so every daughter and son of our country, especially sons, when our national anthem sings "All Rise, All His Sons," I sometimes wonder, were they cruel in omitting our daughters? But no, 50 years on, the call requires for every son of the land to really rise up and take leadership in community, at workplace, and collectively, all of us, all together, and for those of us in government, to work for the better. And so I want to say thank you to CORE. I do participate in CORE events, not to distant government, but for government to work with the sector, so that we can always find a mid-place where you win some, and government on behalf of people win some, so that together we prosper in our land. Our country has legacy also. The downsides of a mining sector, the greatest pain we carry in the celebration of 50th year is one part of our country trying to break away. In the heart of the breakaway contest was benefit setting from Panguna, lest we forget. That is the reason why it drives me to push as much as I can push to win more for my country, as investors also win more. I will reflect a little bit this later in my conversation on program. 6 years on since I assumed the role as our country's chief servant, we have stabilized our country. Our economy was at a recessed point in 2018, negative 0.3 when we took over. Last time I was at Washington, I visited IMF head office to indicate this year we're putting 4.7% growth. When other economies are revised down, we are revised upwards for this year. And it's not just this year, the last 4 years, we've been posting on average around 4% growth. More interestingly, and I know some speakers after me, I will sit in to listen to a presentation by Trans Wananek on piggery and agricultural work that is happening up there. More interestingly, for the first time in 4 years, in 50 years rather, 4 consecutive years of 4% growth in the non-resource sector of the economy, something very close to my heart. Because in all this conversation, anchor of a growth and sustained economy is important. Mining and petroleum harvest must be translated into sustainable economy elsewhere, more in the non-resource sector of GDP. And I want to say, we are heading in the right direction, but I also have to confess, much work remains ahead of all of us. And I want to point all of us, despite growing the economy, when I took over in 2019, it was a 79.6 billion Kin economy. Today, we're sitting at 125 billion Kin economy. And by the end of this year, if everything goes well, we would have gone past 130 billion Kin economy. We have given the biggest ever tax relief to our country. Much of our country remains yet passive in as far as the economy contribution is concerned. 80% of our people still live on land, and in the subsistence economy, we want to migrate this big portion into the formal economy sector, especially agriculture. And for those of you, I want to thank all of you in the mining space and petroleum space. Thank you. In your community of engagements, you have now ramping up purchases and involvement of the local community in this sector, especially the agro, food, and service sectors. I just want to say thank you for this. For the first time in as many years today now, we have been heading down fiscal consolidation, and by 2027 we will see balanced budget for the first time. And I speak to you because you're all taxpayers and you're wondering what's happening in terms of macroeconomic management. We're heading towards a balanced budget for the first time in 2027. In case you forget, the last 4 years, after the high of 8.8% deficit in 2020, as a result of COVID-19, we've been fiscally reducing our deficit all the way. This year under 3%, next year will be under 2%, and 2027 we'll hit balanced budget again. The last time this country had a balanced budget was National Alliance-led government in 2010. And so we're coming back to sanity as far as how we manage our resources are concerned. Our fiscal position is much better now. We've increased, for instance, our domestic revenue for the first time to 18%. It's usually averaged below 10% for a long time. And I want to say part of this has been the way we have been handling our resource projects. And I do apologize for the delay in Wafi-Golpu. I do apologize for the delay in other resource projects. Some circumstances are beyond my control, but some circumstances are within my control. Those within my control, I must do. And one of them is trying my very best to secure these long-term projects at a rate above 55% net residual economic take for the country. Net residual economic take. That includes local content. In that 55% it includes local content. In basic layman's language, every dollar produced from this project, PNG must get 55 cents, at least at minimum, and 45% can be earned by our investment partners to remit back elsewhere. We're lining up next 15 years of project construction in our country. And I want to announce that while some may seem slow and delayed, it is better doing it correctly for all of us than hastily doing it only for regret and fight down the line. Our country has a fair share of fight, but also a fair share of respect to project agreements. Bougainville on one side, and Lihir, Porgera, and Octedi and others on the other side. And I know as a son and a child of resource area, we want to do it correctly so the investor win and all of us win. And in this context, we are moving projects slowly but diligently towards a better venture that yields dividend for investors and our country and our people. Next 15 years is exciting coming up. We have over almost $60 billion worth of projects that can be progressed. I rate them AAA or A grade projects like Papua LNG, PNG LNG, possibly Wafi-Golpu. I came out from meeting the ExxonMobil leadership at Houston. They did indicate to me clearly the desire, and consistent with our own desires, that we synchronize Papua LNG, PNG LNG, and Wafi-Golpu LNG and others. For those of you who are familiar with the geological map, the southern fault belt, as far as the resource placement is concerned. So these projects, if synchronized, this oil and gas or LNG sector alone is almost over $40 to $50 billion worth of investment. I want to update all of you. Mr. Buyanes informed me by way of a letter and also a telephone conversation. Papua LNG bids have come in. It is coming at a little bit of higher than the expected cost estimate for project FID. They're asking government to sit with them again. We also waiting with them. Government is not willing to relook at the fiscals, but how do we find cost saving? And I have to be transparent. They said cost tenders have come in, say above what is expected as the cost of a project, and I discussed to make sure Papua is not abandoned. The good news is it is still within forecast. I said if we can reach an undertaking, then it can come on board in as far as FID is concerned at the end of the year or early next year. Papua LNG, Penang LNG, and Wafi-Golpu can give us minimum $40 to $45 billion FIDs in the energy space. Not to mention, or not to include, Pasca condensate project that is running. I want to say thank you to the investors in Pasca, Twinja, and MRDC. Pasca LNG is a small neat project that is modeled at 70% benefit retention in our country. 70% benefit retention in our country. Fighting hand of the lead project at Pasca, Papua New Guinea. And so Pasca is running on the side. I want to appreciate Santos, PNG LNG, partners, Exxon, as well as others who are also doing flotation storage facility in the Gulf of Papua, replacing Kumul terminal that has been in the place since 1990. That work is going on. It's a busy piece of real estate in the Papuan coastline, the Papuan Highlands, as far as oil and gas is concerned. I want to say thank you also to Total. Total is doing for the first time exploration in Maliu. There's $100 million worth of exploration running in Maliu. From seismic data, they indicate exciting prospects there. We don't know what's under the sea. We can only establish the resource type and resource volume after exploration is completed. My government is also looking at giving incentive to exploration so that we could attract exploration. Papua New Guinea, you're fortunate for the first time now, two of the majors in oil and gas, Total and Exxon, are also engaged in exploration as well as post-exploration harvest. Quite demanders, the Tukla Bikla So Total is doing exploration in Maliu. For those of you who do not know where Maliu is, and some those of you who do not know Maliu. All right. We now, for the first time, through Connect PNG, and Connect PNG is not a scam, it's a scam in the minds of my opposition. We're now doing road running from Port Moresby to Alatau. Join me sometimes, I'll find a free weekend in August, I will be driving from Port Moresby to Alatau. But if you drive from Port Moresby to Alatau, in the middle of the drive, you come across a place called Cloudy Bay, Amazon, and this place, beautiful part of Papua New Guinea. The best people live there. I know all of us are best, but the best people live there. The idea is for us to do that highway also as part of local tourism and get out from Port Moresby. So, but that is a beautiful drive, agriculture, tourism, fisheries. We're exporting crab for the first time from that part of our country to Singapore right now. But that gas fine, or that condensate fine, possible condensate, if the rest of this would be something big for all of us. And I want to say thank you very much to Total for picking up that piece of real estate and working on exploration. We wish you all the best. Likewise, ExxonMobil has some interesting real estate out there, and we're working with them. Well, the business could be anywhere between 1 TCF to 26 TCF, and they need us to give them some incentives and work with them for exploration. It will be a 5-kilometer drill into earth to establish the size of the reserve for them to progress into the next phase. And if we sequence all of this together, the oil and gas, that's almost $50 billion worth of investment in the oil and gas space. And for those of you in the environmental conscious and sensitive people, I want to say Papua New Guinea is carbon negative country. So I invite all oil and gas to keep on doing business here because we are carbon negative. Our forests, our corals, our marine, our seasides, 2.9 million square kilometers of ocean we have, as well as our 462,860 square kilometers of land. 80% is forest covered. And so we are carbon negative, not carbon neutral. We have 100 million metric tons of carbon absorption capacity. Our carbon footprint is 10 million metric tons. So carbon negative by miles, Mr. Paul Marlow and a team from cement, do more cement here. Your cement and your products should be labeled as green product. And for Total and Exxon, Santos, and all of you in the gas and petroleum sector, in a carbon negative country, fear not, invest more in our country and we work together. Am I right? So in the LNG space, I have given you the coverage. And in the mining sector, Wafi-Golpu, very, very close. I know you say when, but Wafi-Golpu, very, very close. Are you regretting any from the Porgera right now? You're not regretting. Good things come to those who are patient. And to investors as well as Kumul Minerals, we're working in a bigger picture. They're 35% equity holders. We are 30% equity holders. We're just working to the final mechanics to structure a mine that will be 40 years in terms of the contract we'll give them. And so for me to give a 40-year contract, I need to be absolutely certain it is something that I will live with. And to the investors, it is something that is good so that in 40 years' time in the future, people will give you the social license to renew the mine because I believe the mine is much longer than the 40 years. So we're coming across Wafi-Golpu. In the mining sector, we want to get Wafi off, then Frida, Yandara, Mount Kare, Kiliteke, Tolukama back up and running, smaller it is, but the important resource in the central province, Misima and Woodlark. There's currently, Kumul Mineral Holdings subsidiary or Teddy, the landowners and the provincial governments who work in that space. We've got Mambare in Oro province. We have Wild Dog, I think it is, in Eastern Brilliant doing some work there. We got, I want to say thank you to CRA doing some work in Manus. And so right across all parts of our country, there's an activity happening. We pass back Panguna shares we held to Bougainville government to assist them decide on what to do. So in the mining space, the last I looked at a map, North New Guinea Islands, Central, Northeast, and Southwest, all parts of our country, the next 15 years should have mining activities. For me, That is not a concentrated economy in one space, but a good spread right across our country, so that the economic activities is happening in all parts of our country the next 10, 15 years in as far as construction and post-construction for harvest. So I've basically given you a big canvas in the mining space and petroleum space, 15 years of exciting construction economy coming up, and I want to say it is your job and my job. Those of you in the investor space, respect me in as far as my 55% is concerned, and you can deal with your 45% take, and together we find an agreement that is workable. For those who said we cannot do it, I point to you Porgera. Porgera today is producing at these benefit sharing arrangements. They get their share, we get our share. When I engage in negotiation with Mr. Bristol, and I want to step back and say thank you very much to Mr. Bristol. I want to say thank you. He deserves it. Porgera, by the way, is a very hard place to operate a mine. But today, this year onwards, they've already paid 456 million kina first half tax, corporate income tax. 456 million kina corporate income tax. Dividend in the way we've structured dividend sharing, Kumul's 36%. Kumul put no one toya in the restart of the mine. We structured in a manner in which Kumul pays as we go along. If gold price had remained at $1,536, Kumul would have paid out its share in 8 to 10 years. I was no prophet, but those who were with me in the negotiating room, when we negotiated, I told Mr. Vele and everyone else, write this down. Within 3 years, gold price would have gone past $3,000. And so today, gold price is doing very well. They have returned some dividend, and the dividend to the Enga provincial government and the landowners up there. Please don't break up the bridge that heads into Porgera Mine. Please protect the road that goes into Porgera Mine. This mine is producing as much as for you as well as the country. From what you were earning at 5% equity and 2% royalty in a 3 deduction ratio, today you get 15% equity and a 3% royalty in a 2 deduction ratio. I speak this because I know exactly what I'm talking about. I know how the formulas and calculations are. So it's a better 3% royalty than the 2% royalty you were receiving earlier. Total all in all, 18% to Enga provincial government. I ask you, protect this Enga provincial government people, protect Porgera infrastructures, protect public assets leading into Porgera. Porgera is a wonderful example of company winning and people winning. When Mr. Bristol and me first started, I'm a hard negotiator for my country. I don't miss my word. I told him, my friend, you sit on 51% equity, and you sit on 49% equity, I sit on 51% equity. It is a brownfield, not a greenfield project like Wafi and others. And I said, I'm going out to drink coffee. If you agree on this one, we negotiate. If you're not agree, then we go back to court. And I left the room, and he came, fetched me 15 minutes later. We went back, and I said, your IRR is preserved. For investors, I want to tell you, your IRR is preserved. And I said, your IRR is preserved in your 49%. We negotiate based on the fact that you will still make profit on the side of 49%, and the country makes their money on the side of 51%. Everyone wins, you don't lose. And that business principle was understood, and Mr. Bristol shook hands, we have a deal, and we went to work, and New Porgera now, 3 years later, is producing and returning to our country, returning to the 3 cell clusters, as well as we contribute better for our country going forward. And I want to say that, to me, is a model of shared partnership and investors and government and people working together. New Porgera today employs 97% local employees. Mr. Bristol said anyone who wants to do business in New Porgera must have a resident office in Enga province. Must have a resident office in Enga province. And so we're working towards and ask Enga people, it is your business to support because government and investors want to work in as far as not just the actual benefit harvest, but also, more importantly, a local content and the spin-offs. I want to encourage all of you as we work our national local content policy, look into how best the residual value of these businesses, these investments, could filter and settle in Papua New Guinea and not elsewhere. Prioritize local land costs and PNG SMEs, employ and train local workers. And I want to say to some of you, I see my friend Mark sitting here. Thank you very much. Mark is an example of a company who employs local Papua New Guineans and also skill them here and take them elsewhere. Mark and Sun Engineering, thank you too much for your time and investment. So train them, employ them, and if you have other business elsewhere, I can tell you, all of you investors in PNG, my Papua New Guinean workers will be some of the hardest working workers you will find on the face of planet Earth. Of course, they chew boy once in a while, but apart from boy chewing, you give them work that is hardest working people on the face of planet Earth. We come from hard terrain. We've been in this part of planet Earth for over 10,000 years. We know what it is to live and work in hard environment. You train them well, pick them up, they will go with you and they'll help work with you in other parts of the earth. And I'm preparing Kumul Mineral Holding Limited through Octani to have a subsidiary in having mine working people exported elsewhere also. And I want all of you, I came back from Houston and I was so proud, something that warmed my heart, and my brother Arthur, you and me were part of that team in 2008 and 9 that recruited over, if my memory is not wrong, 200 Papua New Guineans finally from a batch of 12,000 that was selected. I was education minister back then. It's recruited, went out recruiting best of the best in PNG. Today we have more than 10, I think, if I'm not wrong. And few of them work in Houston, ExxonMobil headquarters in Texas right now, working as engineers and everything else. So yeah, please train, employ, train, and take Papua New Guineans with you so we could grow more others who are coming up. The 16,000 pass through, they could come into the industry. Transfer skills and technology into our community, and of course invest more in CTA projects. I know it's not your direct core business, but I thank all of you. I see K220 Mine and every one of you, Harmony and all of the work, Newmont, Newcrest, Newmont, ExxonMobil, Total. I thank all of you. I see you investing in the local communities. Big, but thank you too much from all of you. Papua New Guinea is an exciting place. In conclusion, I want to bring my speech to a conclusion. We have market, which it works. Last week, I was given the privilege of being the first foreign leader to have a bilateral with the new or the Japanese Prime Minister after he's secured his mandate after the elections. We sat down and have a cordial conversation for more than an hour. He said, Mr. Prime Minister, everything you produce, Japan will buy. Before that, I met the 6 foundational buyers of our resource from Octani. They all of them told me for 40 years, Octani has never failed to supply product to our international destination. Thank you very much, Octani. 6 of them said, we are here to buy more resources. I told them, I got Wafi-Golpu, Frida, Yandara, and everything else coming up. Japanese market is open to subsume anything we produce. 2 years ago, I had the extraordinary privilege of also having bilateral with President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Li Keqiang. Both of them told me they need resource. I said we have resource. They said our economy is big. Anything you produce, we can buy. Of course, our other bilateral trading nations, USA, Australia, France, India, Europe, UK. My engagements overseas, in the belly of these engagements, is to secure market for our producers and also seeking investors as well as entrenching those of you who are already in investment. This work we are doing, and I want to say together we can grow the education sector, health sector, the law and order sector, build more infrastructures to create a modern economy, a good country that protects investors and has citizens, and all of us live and flourish together. As I conclude, I want to ask all of you, examples are in this room. For those of you land costs who are coming in recently, no Kenkisi money, na Kaikai, na Westi money. Certain company people are good. I want to point to you 2 land costs, in my view, are doing very well apart from others. I was privileged to be part of a small landowner company up there in Heights, the 1990s, early 1990s. That used to be run by Mr. Anagali. I see he's going to be in this program later on. Mr. Anagali, and I want to thank him and his simple tribal people. What they did, Anagali was the only educated guy. The rest of his directors were placement. All saw English, all saw read and write. But what that small company did, Gigida Development Corporation, today it is my firm belief that as far as ratio of earning against dividend, they would have paid the highest dividend than any other land co in the country. Because I was part of the operation team and I knew exactly what they were saying. What they did was they set up a management structure that was found out that every month there were external audits happening. It wasn't just that. The directors were the clan leaders, but there were external auditors coming in every month so that the governance structure was second to none. At arm's length, they were checking on the Landco company. Today, almost 40 years on, it still survives to this day. Whilst the bigger cousins like NGDC and French Wonderland may overshoot them, but trust me, others can go, but this small company will live on. GDC will live on because of the foundational basis, governance structure, transparency, external audit, and profit, not charity, was the modus operandi. This is an example to many of you landlords. Don't be just a mushroom that emerges in a session and then disappears. It must be sustained business and generational business that lives beyond the project time. Second example I want to say to Lear people. I was pleased that our office in Brisbane is in a building of Lear landowners own. Last week coming back, or previous week coming back, I was in this high-rise building that our Lear landowners own. So to Lear landowners, thank you to Master. Whilst I'm a big grumbler in the fact that the Lear project is not paying enough corporate tax to my view, but I may be wrong, accounting can confirm this. 4th or 5th biggest gold mine, maybe the operation structure cost is bigger, but the Porgera could be paying good tax now. I'm sure Lear could be paying tax also. But the spin-off benefits, on one side I'm complaining, on the other side I'm happy that the spin-off benefits for landowners, they're getting more. And the landowners have invested well, they've got investments overseas also. That is another example of how a mine could be a catalyst for intergenerational sustainable wealth. And they own this building, high-rise building in Brisbane, in which our council sits in. The third one I want to point is MRDC. So MRDC, from a company in the early formative years, a small company, when I was intending to be a politician in 2002, I remember very well. My good schoolmate, Dan Kakarai, was running it. It was a 300 million kina company, rather. Today, MRDC sits at the 15 billion kina asset and cash company, a success story in itself, where the muscle of pulling together resources into one balance sheet gives you total aggregate, a powerhouse investment vehicle for our country. And so it's a testament of individual land costs at the floor, the mid-size, and together at the national, all pulling together. So we've got wonderful testaments in our country. Look within, exchange your business card. I want all of you to work side by side and build a cadre of businessmen, businesswomen, the family, and the clan, and the land co, and collectively as a country. And we can work with our foreign investment partners who are also here with us. They choose to invest in our country, they're here. Let's not rubbish them. Let's find a win-win place for all of us. And together we work to make our country a better place going forward. The last 50 years was built by sheer muscle, determination, and strength of the generation who came before us. The next 50 must be built by intelligence, hard work, perseverance, commitment, foresight by our generation. Are you willing to step up in your area of work and do your part for your country? We also try our best for our country. May God bless me and may God bless each and every one of you.